are now listening to the fastest growing faith-based podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. Ladies, don't you know you are fearfully and wonderfully made? You are far more precious than rubies. You are destiny shakers. Fellas, you are strong, visionaries, and mighty kingdom builders. Together, we are Virtue with Vision, the podcast. We discuss relationships, goals, life, and a whole lot of Jesus. Always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Let's tune in to this week's episode. Welcome to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Hey guys, I'm so excited. I have my friend from kindergarten here with me, and you may see her all on the big screens. But can you say hi to everybody, Angie?
Hi. The hand is over here. Hi, how are you? I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you are a part of Virtue with Vision. We immediately were just talking offline before we hopped on, and we were just talking about everything. Like, we haven't seen each other probably since high school.
Right.
And we've known each other since we were 5 in the kindergarten. And we have gone to every single school since we graduated from high school.
Yeah, kindergarten all the way up. Yeah.
All the way up. And I just want to say, if I have not already, I am so godly proud of you. The things that you have accomplished in your almost 31 years. You're 30 now.
No, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna play with you. Yes, the things that you have accomplished are so amazing. You deserve everything that is coming to you. I have seen how hard you've worked, even in drama. Like, you are such a rock star. And I just am so excited to see how far you go. You're already far, like, my God, but I cannot wait to see how far you go. And I am cheering you on. Like I've told other people, I've seen Tall Girl 1 and 2. I'll be like, yeah, I know her. I knew her since kindergarten. Like, y'all don't know her, but I do. So I am so excited for you. I wanted to hop in because we're friends on Facebook, and I saw a post about how you were working a job and you're like, God, I just want to act. I want to live my life as an actress. Make it happen, Lord. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me about your experience? Let's go back and take a look back on where you were and how were you able to come out of that stuck place. And I call it the wilderness because you don't know. You don't know if you're going to make it. You don't know if it's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to fall through. What's going to happen? So how were you in that space? What was going through your head? And how did you finally have the confidence and boldness to be like, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I think at that time I was in such an extremely just discouraged place in my life. Because you went to Fresno State. I applied. I didn't get in, but we won't talk about it. We are where we're supposed to be. But Absolutely. I didn't graduate college, right? I dropped out of college. So I was just working job to job to job, most of them minimum wage, you know what I mean? Things like that. So I was just, of course, I moved to LA and I was pursuing acting and I was in all the classes. I had an agent. I'm a part of the union. I'm like, doing everything in my power that I could do. And I reached a point where I'm like, God, I've done everything in my power. Like everything that I can do, everything that people tell me that I need to do, that I'm supposed to do, everything I think of, I've done it all. And I just got to this point where it wasn't me anymore. I needed God to step in. I needed God to show up for me in that way. And so I was like, God, this is you. Like, if this is where you want me to be, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, then you have to come in and I need you to show up for me. Almost like, I don't want to say I was like holding God accountable, but I'm like, you said that you, for the plans you have for me, declares the Lord. I was like, you declared it. You didn't say it. You declared it. Yeah. I'm like, you said you were going to prosper me, not harm me. You had plans to give me a hope in the future. So what are we doing? Like, if there's a hope in the future for me, God, I need to see it, because right now it's feeling like I'm at a dead end. You know, I'm at a dead end job. I'm not making enough money to sustain myself in Los Angeles. I'm going to have to move back home to Bakersfield. Which, I'm allergic. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But for where I was at, for what I wanted to do with my life, I knew I needed to be in LA. And I kid you not, 30 days later to the day, I booked my first pilot. Like 30 days to the day. So basically that post was that you saw, I quit my job. I was working at Starbucks. Shout out to Starbucks. And shout out. Hey, love a good matcha latte. Yes. And so I was working there, and I put in my 2-week notice, and I had no plans. I had zero plans. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have anything. I was like, I don't know, God, but something's got to move. So what I decided was, when I quit, I was like, I'm just going to drive Lyft. I did that for a bit in the meantime. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to focus on acting. I'm going to audition. I'm going to go to every single free workshop, free class, free anything that I could find in the city. I mean, from everywhere, looking from, of course, like Actors Access to Backstage Magazine to Craigslist, just anything. And then dragging my actor friends with me, being like, I found this thing, let's go. Like, a lot of it, most of it was like pointless, like things I had already known, I'd already heard, or like things where they're just selling you, they want you to sign up for their class or whatever. But some of it was life-changing. I'm thinking of something in particular, but I met a lot of friends through that. I did an acting program that, like, most of my closest friends in LA came from that. And so that was like a life-changing thing that I finally signed up for. But yeah, 30 days to the day that I quit the job, I booked my first paid acting job, which then paid me enough to sustain me for the next 6 months of my life, which was so helpful. That's because, the Lord. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I was trying to get my finances in order. I was taking this like finance for artists class that I was doing through the Actors Fund, which was a free program, which was really helpful. And it was like a 4-week class where you went and you like just learned about like balancing your budgets and finances and like things that I wasn't taught, you know, I didn't grow up learning. I think my parents did a really good job, but I just don't think that they really were educated enough in financial literacy to even teach financial literacy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And they grew up in a generation where they didn't think that they would have to.
Exactly. You know? I think that's all majority. I'm not going to say all, majority of our parents in that generation. I feel like they came out of struggling and getting to the quote unquote American dream. So they believe in like that standard job, get your benefits, go to school, get in it. And then we come along, we're like, well, right. It's more to life.
Right. And I just think also as Black people, like, that's just like, it's the mentality of like, if you get it, hold on to it. You know, like if you get this job or if you whatever, hold on to it. Make sure you go to college and get your education because it's something no one can take away from you. All of these very traditional things, which I also do still believe in. But I do. It just wasn't the path for me at the time. It's clearly still not, but it just wasn't the path for me.
Yo, you're funny.
And so I'm excited because like I have seen that there is another that we can all take so many different paths. And I think my family has also learned that as well. I think they were terrified for me. Like when I called my mom and told her I was quitting my minimum wage job at Starbucks to do acting full time, and I'm just gonna drive Lyft and put strangers in my car. She was like, absolutely not. You're not going to do that. You're not. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm an adult. I'm going to do it. And so then I did. And actually, I'm so grateful that I took that leap of faith, that I just like trusted myself and trusted that I needed to let go of the old to bring in the new. And sometimes, like, if when we hold on to our lifestyles that we're so comfortable in, we like are stuck in this comfortability like bubble that we can't even allow God to bring in something new, because we're so in this like 9 to 5, in this strategic like lifestyle where it's like you're in a routine. That's the word I'm looking for. You're in this
Yep.
routine where, like, in case until you get out of that routine, you can't experience anything new. So I'm really actually proud of myself that I did that, because I was in a very discouraged place, and I was at a point where I was doubting just my life choices. Like, should I have gone to college? Should I have not dropped out? All of my friends are graduating at this time, should I
Yeah.
have, I don't know, stuck with the man and got married? I don't know, all the things I was thinking about, and I'm like just contemplating my life decisions. But I'm really proud that I did me. Like, when people
Mhm.
say do you, like, do you,
Do
because
you?
that is when you will not only, like, of course, be successful. Like, that will always eventually come if you don't give up. I'm a big believer in that. But
Mhm.
also, it will feel like it's yours, and it will feel different because you did it your way. Do you know what I
Jesus.
mean?
That's good.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, that's commendable because a lot of people don't take that leap. Me, I was comfortable. I had two incomes and a house, and I was like, you know what? The Lord is telling me that I need to quit or it's going to get really
Mm.
bad. And I was just like, we going to ignore him because Mary's comfortable. We'll
Mm-hmm.
just do this job, and then we will do entrepreneurship on the side, and we'll just get this podcast together,
Right.
and bro, we'll be great. Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Mm-hmm.
And God was like, I'm gonna make it real tough for you. I was just like, Lord, don't
Oof.
make it tough, make it make it
Make it
easy. I'm
easy.
good here.
Right.
And he made it to a point where I had to. I
Mm.
remember putting in the 2 weeks, saying, God, I am trusting you. You're telling me to do this. I am walking in purpose. And then immediately 2 weeks later, I was in tears. I was like, no, let me just call him. I told him
Right.
I'm just kidding. Maybe I should do this. Like, I was in a complete freak out mode.
Mm-hmm.
But God is faithful, because the past 3 years, even if it's not always been hunky dory or, full of abundance, I feel like I am walking in my true purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I know that I'm walking in my purpose. And I know that if God can still sustain us now, I haven't gone without a meal, I haven't gone without lights. The Lord
Baby.
still provides, then
Mm-hmm.
that is just enough.
That's
Because
it.
I feel like if I was not walking in where He's called me to,
Mm-hmm.
then He would tell me, because
a
He would
hundred
give me a
percent.
sign. The light bill is not paid, ma'am. It's
That
time
part.
it's time for you to work. But
That
I
part.
I am so amazed at your diligence. It's something to be like, okay, I want to do this, but even if you didn't have the funds to be in that said acting class or
Yeah.
have a particular mentor to help, build your acting abilities of your desired result, you still found something that was free, even if it was something that you knew, even if it was
Mm-hmm.
something that was saying, God, I'm still going after it. Just because
Yeah.
I can't provide for it right now, I'm gonna still go after it, because I know that this is something that's in my plan. And I know that you are in a different position now where you can look back and say, well, I didn't give up. And for
Mm.
me, I'm just like, oh, okay, Lord, let's just not give up,
Right.
because there's beauty in the making of pruning your character and knowing where you're supposed to be and knowing
Mm-hmm.
where God wants you and where He wants you to like He's had you this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, oh, it just makes me so happy to see how God still holds true for His word. And yes, I'll be screaming out scripture too. I'll be like, Lord, you said in your
Look,
word, homie.
I do it. Yes, I do. I
Because
do
if you
it.
repeat His word back to Him, He is not a man, He shall not lie. His
Mm-hmm.
word will not return void to you. If that is scriptural and that is in the word, He can't do it.
That's a fact. And it's every
So
time.
it every single
And
time.
it's not, may not be in my time, but it is every time. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
It will happen in divine time. It may not be in my timeline,
Ooh,
but it will
we're
happen.
talk about time. We're about to talk about time in the next segment for real, because I don't like time. I don't like process, but
Me
it's
either.
a part of
Mhm.
the journey. So you are
Absolutely.
listening to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance.
Are you a business looking for ways to advertise your brand at an affordable rate? Do you want your brand in front of real people and a real audience? Do you need help with what to say and how to promote your message to the world? Whether you have a clothing brand or you're a makeup artist, a top-tier food brand wanting to attract customers to your tasty food, or any product or service, Virtue with Vision would love to partner with you. Virtue with Vision can help you with your script, setting up your commercial, and an ad spot on Virtue with Vision, the podcast. Let us help you take your brand to the next level. Send all inquiries to info@maryleevance.com. Again, that's info@maryleevance.com to get started at an affordable rate today.
Tired of dating the wrong one? Do you keep asking God, where is my Boaz? Are you ready to marry the man of your dreams? Fleshly Date or Godly Mate is the book for you. It gives you insight on the difference of dating with or without God in the middle. And it prepares you for God's best. Always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. You can purchase Fleshly Date or Godly Mate at maryleevance.com.
Virtue with Vision is the fastest growing faith-based podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. Go subscribe to this podcast and go tell a friend. If you need a relatable podcast to listen to while you're going to work or cruising out on the town, Virtue with Vision, the podcast is for you. We laugh, have fun, grow, and get a little bit more acquainted with God each time. Virtue with Vision, the podcast is available on all media platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Subscribe today so you can check out all of my past and upcoming episodes. Go subscribe now. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best.
Welcome back to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. I have Angie Washington, or Anjelika Washington, with me. I know her as Angie. And this first segment, oh Lord, her testimony, Lord, like, oh no, I just wanted to be like, yes, Lord. Yeah, I wanted to just do a little shout for the Lord. But I want to talk about timing because I don't like it. And it's hard. It's hard to wait on God's timing. We have a hard time aligning with his timing and enduring until you are prepared for what you've actually asked God for. I know there has been plenty of times within my journey where I was just like, I don't know. My mom was like, maybe if you just get a job. I'm just like, Mom, no, you don't know what you're talking about. She was probably going to listen to this later and be like, that is not what I said. But I know that my mom has had to tell me a lot of times and remind me it is not in my timing, it's in God's timing. His timing is perfect. Your timing is whatever. No one is worried about your timing except for yourself. And a lot of times I feel that society can play a role on making us feel that we are falling behind. We're missing out on life in a different way. we won't ever be able to experience a certain type of lifestyle or live style because we're not there yet, and it's not what we see in our heads. And of course, everyone has a journey, everyone has a step, everyone has an idea goal of where they want to be. But they're not really submitted to if that timeline may take a year, 5 years, or 10 years, and we end up not being faithful and forfeiting the promise. So how were you able to be okay with however long the timing took?
Wow, that was loaded. But yeah, you're completely right. Really quick, I absolutely love you deserve God's best because you are God's best. I'm obsessed. Love it. I'm actually going to write it on my wall. I have like quotes on my wall. I'm going to put that up there. And I'm going to write Mary Lee Vance. Yeah. I'm very excited for that. But timing, you know what? That's so hard loaded. And I also feel like everything we're talking about is still to me right now. So just for the sake of time, because I'm a talker, I'll be long-winded. I feel like time is such a hard thing to accept, because not having something that you really want in your time is so frustrating. And, I had this conversation with my therapist. I'm a really big advocate for therapy. Love it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Therapy.
Okay. Amen. And so I was having this conversation with my therapist, and this was like probably like a couple years ago. And we were talking about time. And she was talking about how we as like humans in society, we have unrealistic standards of time, meaning like we will map out this whole, I don't want to say fake life for us, but like we'll map out this whole life for ourselves where we're like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to graduate by 22. I'm going to be married by 24, my first house by 25, my first kid by 26. I'm going to have blah, blah, blah in my company by 28. And by 30 years old, I'll be a millionaire. Like we have these like unrealistic standards of time that are like literally not real because we don't have the power to decide that type of things for ourselves, right? Look, it's like making plans, like the saying like, oh, make a plan and God laughs at your plan. Like it's like that.
He does laugh. He'd be like, all right.
Yeah. And piggybacking off of the last time, I was in like such a place at that moment also where I was discouraged and absolutely feeling like I was so behind because I didn't graduate college with the rest of my friends. I wasn't, in a long-term committed relationship. I was in a relationship with acting. I was in a relationship with my dreams. That's the relationship I was in. And so really it's not even until like now in my life that I'm really pursuing like romantic relationships, other things in my life that I know that I've always wanted, but I just didn't have the energy to give attention to, or not 100%. You know what I mean?
Angie, in high school, you didn't give energy to relationships at all.
At all. Like, thank you for saying that because people try to think that I'm like, this is new for me. I promise I didn't care. And it's really because I have 4 older brothers and a very present, awesome dad. I just didn't care about boys. I didn't care. I was like, anyways, I was like, I'm going to theater class.
Yeah, I know more about friends.
Right. I was like, we have a play this weekend. That's what we're doing. Fact. So that was really always or like a cheer competition. Like I always had things going on. Fact. So I just like was busy and I was like, I'm really busy. Like I'm genuinely busy, like wasn't making it up. So, anyway,
I got your back. I know. I got your back. I ain't gonna let nobody say,
right.
What you mean? No, it is the truth.
It's true. I'm like, Mary knows. Like, if anybody's gonna know, it's Mary. Yeah. Yes. I just didn't entertain that stuff. I didn't care. I care more about it now that I'm older, but like before I was like, anyways, it'll come. And I really just always believed, that's a funny part too. I always believed that like my husband was going to come, just going to come. Like, I was like, he'll come when God says he's ready to come. And I know he will, but it's just so funny because then the pandemic happened and I was like, wait, I was just sitting around thinking, he's going to come. I'm not going to worry about it. You know what I mean? And then I was like, it just really shook me. And I think the pandemic shook a lot of people with their timelines as well. Absolutely. Because I think it made people realize, oh crap, if I have a dream, I better actually go live it, because we're in a pandemic. Like, the world can change at any moment. We don't have control. We don't know what's happening, what's coming. You know what I mean? We don't know when Jesus is coming. You know what I mean? We don't know. We don't have this like particular exact written date, and like even the end of your life, you don't know. You don't know when your time is literally going to be up. So just being present and like focused, but also allowing myself to be open to things changing. So that has helped me a lot. My mom always says, the only thing consistent in life is change.
And I remember her saying that for some reason.
In high school, she used to say it all the time. And I remember I wanted to get it tattooed on me. I still haven't done that, but like maybe one day. But it really was like, the more we can be adaptable to change, the better we will be able to sustain ourselves in life. Because, our timelines are going to change. People will have these ideas of like, and then I'll do all those things. So let's say that timeline I gave, right? Now I'm a millionaire at 30. I did all those things. College, the spouse, the house, the kids, the whatever your dreams are. Now what?
Then what? Right.
Now what? So it's like crazy to think like, you're probably not going to have that perfect little timeline by 30, because then what? Then what else are your dreams? Like, what else do you have going that you're pursuing that you want, which is why now in some cases I welcome adversity, because I think the better I get at handling adversity, the better that I'm like so free. I'm like, okay, cool. I had a photo shoot, didn't work out exactly the way we planned, showed up to the venue owner wasn't there to let us in. We were like stuck outside. Everyone was freaking out. And I was just like, well, you know what? This photo shoot is about to be bomb. I know one thing I know is when there is adversity, there is so much success on the other side, so much love, so much joy. It's going to be better than I thought it could be. You know what I mean? And so knowing that now, but I only can say that confidently because I've gone through so much adversity. I've gone through so much that now I know. I'm very confident that I'm like, God's got it. God's going to take care of me. God's fine. Like, since Praise This, I haven't worked. This is actually the longest time I've been not working.
Well, then, girl, maybe this is a good rest time.
It's the best rest period, because I have this entire time, like, everyone's been like, you haven't been like stressed. You haven't been work. I'm literally chilling. And I'm chilling because I know that God, I'm provided for. I'm good. Like, I'm good financially. I'm good. All the other things. So like, I'm good. I'm fine. And then also because I know that God is giving me a break, because I know that God is going to do something with my role in Praise This that is going to be far more than I even thought God could do. So I'm like soaking in my like downtime and being like, oh my God, I'm like chilling. I'm like hanging out with my family. I'm seeing my friends. I'm doing all the things that I want to do on my off time. Because again, also in the last 4 years, this is the longest I've had a break in the last, I have been booked and busy back to back. Like, I haven't even lived in my own apartment in the last 4 years. I've lived out of my suitcase and hotel rooms in LA, in New Orleans, in Italy, and just everywhere, in Atlanta. Like,
Marky was so good.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a dream and I'm so grateful. But because I've gone through it, I know I'm like, okay, I have this downtime because I'm not going to have downtime. So I have this downtime now to like focus on my relationships, focus on my family, focus on myself. Like, I've been back in the gym since Praise This, which, this is me feeling really good about myself. I lost 12 pounds. I've been working out. Girlfriend has been getting it back together. As you know, I was an athlete growing up my whole life. And like, since the pandemic, I didn't see a gym and I didn't care. And I was eating food and I was enjoying my life. And I went to Italy for 3 months. And yes, I did. I ate every day. And I had a great time.
Too. Okay.
Because why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
You're in Italy.
Yes. But now that I have like the downtime, like, this is the time to focus on myself. This is the time to not only get my body where I want it to be, but my mind, to get my heart, to get my spirit, get all of me just aligned and centered, because I know that this movie is this is my very first co-lead in a film. It's the biggest role I've ever had. It's also the best work that I think I've done so far. It's the work I'm the most proud of, not only because I get to celebrate and honor Jesus, but I also get to live my dream. And like, it's my craft, something that I've been doing since I was 8 years old, that I now get, that people finally get to see. And I know for a lot of people, particularly like the Black Hollywood industry, they don't know me because I haven't done any Black projects yet. So this is my first like predominantly Black film that I get to be a part of, that is like so rooted in so much Blackness, and I just love that because it's just all things I love. And yes, of course, I'm biased because I'm Black, so it is what it is. It's great, and I love it, and I love that I get to be a part of it, and I get to just celebrate all of those things that I am so unapologetically.
Period. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I love. I think you said a lot of important things. Like when you were waiting in the very beginning and you were doing Lyft and working at Starbucks, and you're like, yo, Jesus, what's going on? That time frame. And then going from, I heard there was nothing, to there's been 4 years of nonstop work. And to me, that's the blessing of it all. That's me. Okay, I hear you, daughter. Now I'm going to answer. Now I'm going to show you that I'm God. And then to even come to this project, Praise This. And if you guys do not tune in on Peacock on April 7th, y'all are going to be missing out. I'm so like, it is to see this different side of embracing Black, period. And being confident in it. And you're like, I already know that God has something on the other side of this. And maybe that is the reason for the downtime. I know for me, when it came to timelines, because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was the complete opposite. Angie loved Friends Me. I was like, where the boys at? I really was very boy crazy. And I know for me, it's been a while of like a whole fertility journey of trying to get pregnant, trying to find out what the reasoning is, not getting answers. And then one of my guy friends at my local church was just like, Mary, if God was to give you this baby right now, would you continue to walk in the purpose? I said, probably not. It'd be a cut and a wrap. And I'd be focused on my child because that's something that I desire.
Right.
And he was just like, exactly. He said, you're right where God wants you to be. He said, you don't understand the type of doors that he's opening. He said, you get to talk to people that all of the people in here have never even thought of probably asking to talk to. He was like, you don't know the grace that God has already put on your life for what you're doing. And maybe he said, I'm not saying that you'll never have children. Maybe that's just not in the timeline right now. And I was just like, man, don't jack me up, first of all, in front of everybody. But it was so like, it hit me like, maybe I am right where God wants me to be. And maybe there's some things that I have to learn before I enter into motherhood, or I'm going after all kinds of different things right now. So maybe that needs to be in alignment first before I'm just like, all right, got a kid.
Right.
Hurry up.
God is like building you into being this like entrepreneur mogul. And then your kids are just going to be born into, you're going to have those kids where people are like, oh, those Nepo babies. They're like, their mom is so rich. She did the podcast and then she blew up and now she's rich. And they're not going to realize all that you did before they came in the picture. And it's like, they were always on your heart.
Don't prophesy on here, Angie.
Right. Like your kids are always on your heart. I'm not even going to say your future kids because you're going to have kids. So your kids are always on your heart and will always be. But the timing that they're going to come into your life is going to be so perfect. The way that God is just setting you up so you never have to struggle. That's really what it is. Like God is setting you up so you never have to struggle. So you never have to worry or want for anything. These kids are going to be like born and blessed into this like wonderful kingdom that you're going to like create for them, you know? Which how awesome is that? That's like
Yes.
such a blessing. That's actually more of the dream. We just don't realize it because it's not aligned with our timeline. Do you know what I mean? It's like it actually is what we want. It just
is.
we don't see it because we're like, what I want is right now, you know? And similarly, even when it comes to acting, like for Praise This in particularly, I auditioned for that last March and auditioned, sent it. I didn't hear anything for 3 months. And when I say didn't hear anything, like I think people think when they hear like actors say like I didn't hear anything. No, like forgot about it. Like didn't hear anything. Completely thought like, oh, I didn't book it. Like they're probably moving. I'm sure they're moving on. Like, you know what I mean? And then randomly got the call like one Friday morning at 6 a.m. And they were like, my manager was like, hey, so yeah, remember that thing you auditioned for years ago, that Will Packer movie? They loved you. They want you to play Jess, and you're gonna be opposite Chloe Bailey, and you're gonna play her cousin in this movie, and it's gonna be great. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Quavo's gonna be in it. Drewski, Jacqueline. I'm like, hold on. Wait, how is it? And I felt like I was like literally the missing like last puzzle piece, you know, which I learned is true because that role apparently was really hard for them to cast. She's a very interesting character. I'm very excited for you to see it. But I just remember being like, wow, the timing that it came was not the timing I wanted, but it was the timing that I needed. Does that make sense? Like, because I had just taken 2 months off, like from acting, and I was happy.
She said, I was happy.
I was happy. I needed the break. I was starting to actually experience a little bit of burnout because I was working so much. And, you know, we work 14 to 16-hour days every day. And my turnaround time of like sleeping, preparing so I could like be, you know, memorize, know all the scenes, and then show up and do it the next day. And we're performing every day. I'm not just like going to work. I have to perform. So it was just a lot for like 4 years straight. And in the pandemic was when I started working the most. So it was just an interesting time. But I say that just all to say that sometimes we have these dreams and these dreams have an age to them that we put on it. Like we put an age to this dream. I want this dream by 25. I want this thing by 30. I want this thing by 18. You know what I mean? And like, I'm going to be a mom one day too. I want kids. I want all of that. But I'm also remembered that like babe Halle Berry was like 42 and she looked amazing at the Oscars and her kids are just fine and they're healthy. And guess what? Their mom has an empire built for them.
Period.
An entire empire with resources, with people who love her kids, who want the best for her kids. Absolutely. That maybe she wouldn't have met early in her career, that she only met later in her career, that, you know, knew the so-and-so and the so-and-so to send her kid to that best school. Like, you know, so many things that we don't see when we're in it, you know, that we won't see until hindsight.
Jesus, that's so good.
But I'm like resting and like reminding myself of the hindsight I have now for the things I wanted earlier in my life. And just trusting that I'm going to have that exact same experience later. Like in 10 years, I'm probably going to be like, wow, I'm so grateful I waited to have children. Or I'm so grateful I waited this age to be married. Or, you know, because I found the right partner, not just any partner, but I found the right man, the right spouse, the right husband, you know, like someone who I'm like, no, he was actually who was for me this whole time. I just really wanted that person because, you know, I was 22 and I just wanted that particular man. Right. And now it's like, yeah, but would he have sustained me? Would he have been able to support me, you know, in my trials of my career? And a friend of mine recently said something really powerful to me. She was like, honey, you haven't met your husband yet because you're not in the place to where you would meet the type of caliber of men God has for you.
Oh, that's good.
Honey, I receive it. I receive it. Are you kidding me? Great. Love that. That's my new belief. I have adapted that into my brain. And that's it. Like God is taking me somewhere in my career, in my life, that I'm only going to meet him when I'm at that place in my life, because that is who I'm going to attract as an equal. Do you know what I mean?
Period.
Yeah. So it's giving me a lot of hope. and it brings me a lot of joy. To just like be excited. So anyways, I'm saying all this to get you excited, girl, because your kids are coming and they're going to be amazing and healthy and wonderful. And they're going to bring you so much joy, like probably more than you could even imagine. And so like all of that is coming. But like you said, right now you're walking in your purpose. Right now you're building, and you're actually building for them. Sometimes you don't see it and you think you're building for you, but you're really also building for them. You know what
That's so good.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to be a preacher?
LOL. I've thought about it a couple times where I'll be sitting in the word, I'll be coming up with these analogies. I'm like, be thinking of the metaphors of life. And I'm like, wow, that's so good. So sometimes I share them, but yeah.
That was really good. I think that is so important to have. And that's why I'm a huge advocate of having the right people around you. Like, who do you have that's praying for you? Who's going to be like, you know what? Yes, we're going to do this. We're going to stand in faith, and we're going to do this, and it's going to happen because that is what it's going to be. And we're declaring and decreeing it. Like, I am a huge advocate. I used to be so upset when I didn't have friends. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Am I ugly? What's going on? I think I'm cute. I used to have a huge fit about it all. But what I've came to realize is that for me, I'm a deep person, but I'm a very supportive and a loyal person. And when if I don't feel that someone meets that quality or meets that standard, and this was me back in the day, I used to have a complete livid fit. But I'm now coming to the maturity to where I can have a connection with each and every person that I'm around. But the people that I have that are close to my heart, they're going to know my heart, and they're going to know how much I truly want them to win. And when you were talking about the caliber of a husband, that is the real thing. Wait until he comes. He will come seek you. And when I tell you, I was with my husband. Well, in college, I met my husband. We got engaged. I was like, this is over. We're not getting together. We're not going to be married. I don't want this. I'm moving to Atlanta. And he was like, wow. It was just the whole thing. I was kind of mean, but he's here. So
you're like, so it was okay.
He forgave me. And to know that everything aligned perfectly for him to be here. My husband covers me. My husband prays for me. My husband was like, quit your job, girl. I got you. He was like, keep going. What kind of equipment do you need? Everything. And God, and when I tell you, he just covered that thing. It is just the most beautiful thing, Angie. And I want that for you, sis. I want that someone that doesn't have to compete to try to compare. I want someone that adds to you. I want someone that leads you to the cross, that knows the Lord for himself. You're not like, oh, get to know the Lord with me. No, he knows the Lord for himself.
I got my hands out. I receive it.
And I want someone that can attend to your love language, the way that you feel love and receive love, because you deserve it. And I agree with your friend. He is coming. He is on the way. He is going to meet your standard and your quality because you've been diligent in what you've done. You've sought the Lord. You've cried out to the Lord. You've been faithful to the Lord. You know God for yourself, and God wouldn't not give you anything less than his best.
Thank you, because you are God's best.
Period.
And I receive it. Thank you.
We are about to go to our second break. When we come back, I think of 3 ways.
Okay.
For someone that's in their wilderness season on how they can stay encouraged during their process.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, you guys are listening to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance.
Don't just talk it, you gotta rock it too. What am I talking about?
Okay.
Virtue with Vision apparel. That's right, my t-shirt line. We not only know we're anointed, but we rock that anointed drip. we read that we should work like Ruth, have discipline like Esther, and pray like Hannah. Why not wear what you believe? Virtue with Vision apparel line believes that we not only read the word, teach the word, and speak the word, but we wear the word too. Go to www.maryleevance.com today and get your drip today. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best.
Do you have an idea for a podcast but haven't put it into action? Are you new to podcasting and are overwhelmed with all the information out there? Pods and Excellence is your one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. If you're just in the idea stage or struggling to decide what equipment to use to get started, Pods and Excellence is for you. Pods and Excellence is designed to help podcasters cultivate their podcast production, help secure high-profile guests on their show, and how to get in front of the right audience so you can grow exponentially. You need Pods and Excellence if you are struggling with growing your audience, having a hard time monetizing, running out of things to talk about, and just flat out lost with how podcasting works. Then Pods and Excellence is for you. Join Pods and Excellence today and take your podcast to the next level. Go to maryleevance.com to get started today.
Virtue with Vision is the fastest growing faith-based podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. Go subscribe to this podcast and go tell a friend. If you need a relatable podcast to listen to while you're going to work or cruising out on the town, Virtue with Vision, the podcast, is for you. We laugh, have fun, grow, and get a little bit more acquainted with God each time. Virtue with Vision, the podcast, is available on all media platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Subscribe today so you can check out all of my past and upcoming episodes. Go subscribe now. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best.
Welcome back to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. I have my good friend Angie here, and man, this whole episode has been fire. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it myself because it has so many gems. And speaking of gems, I want you to go over 3 ways people can be encouraged in their season of waiting, or not right now, or it's coming, but wait. How would you help someone in that area?
Okay, I thought it through. I came up with my 3 things. I'm ready. So the first one is similar to what we just kind of discussed. And I think that is your community, your support system. Surrounding yourself with people who will encourage you when you feel like you can't encourage yourself. You know, people who still believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And people who believe in your vision when you're like doubting it. You know, like there's definitely moments where I was like, maybe this is a pipe dream. I'm just a little black girl from Bakersfield. Like, I want to be an actress, but like, maybe that's too big of a dream for someone like me. Maybe that's, you know, maybe I'm asking God for too much. Maybe I'm asking too much for my own life, you know? And then having those friends in my life who, Natalia, who's in the living room, who we both went to high school with, who is like, no, and you're not going to give up. You're amazing. You're talented. You're incredible. Like you're going to do it. And like, who cares that you're from Bakersfield? If anything, that's more of a reason of why you need to do it. So every other little kid from our hometown knows that it's possible, because how are they going to know if someone isn't the first person to do it? And sometimes the first person has to be you.
Yep.
And I think that was, you know, something for me that was difficult, because I was like, God, I don't want to be the first one. I don't want to be.
I'll be the second, so it's easy.
Look, I want a mentor.
Listen.
I don't want to be a mentor. You know? But I've realized that God has called me oftentimes. I feel like God uses me to be the guinea pig. I'm like the trial and error person. And it's probably because I handle things very well under pressure and I can do things. And also because I share. I will share my experiences and I will share what I did wrong so you don't have to make the same mistake.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't do that,
No.
particularly in this industry. They make it like where they hide these secrets because they don't want you to get ahead or they don't want whatever. I don't know, weird stuff people are like. But I just believe that there's enough room at the table for everybody.
There
I
is.
believe that there is enough to go around, that everyone can be successful, everyone can be rich, everyone can have health and joy and love. And I believe that we all not only can have it, but we deserve it. So aligning myself with like-minded individuals who also believe that and see the world similarly as I do. So that is number one.
That's a bomb. Number one.
Ooh.
Community.
Okay. Number two, what did I say? Oh, number two is showing up for yourself. Because a lot of times it's so easy, just the same way it's easy to advocate for others more than it is to advocate for yourself. It's sometimes easier to show up for others than it is for ourselves. Like, it's like, oh, I'll show up to, so-and-so's thing, but like, I don't do that for myself because I'm tired. I'm not feeling it. I don't have a lot of motivation. I'm not really encouraged, whatever. And really showing up for ourselves. And that can look so different for a lot of people. For me, showing up for myself right now in this current season of my life, it looks like making sure that I work out, making sure that I eat clean, making sure that when I go to certain events or I go to certain places that I dress up more, I seem more presentable, like, because I know I want more leading lady roles. I know I want to play like the hot girl, the love interest. I know that I want to be the star in the action comedy,
Yes.
but I'm not going to do the action comedy if I can't run over there to pick up the dang fake gun, like I gotta be in shape. I have to look the part. I have to be the part. And so showing up for myself and not just expecting hair, makeup, and wardrobe to do it all. Like, I also need to feel like I'm the lead actress. You know what I mean? And in order for me to personally feel that way, I have to do those things and show up to make me feel like, yeah, I deserve to be here. And I look the part and I am her. You know what I mean?
And you are her.
And I am. Exactly. And sometimes the truth is the truth. Sometimes sometimes you feel good when you look good.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. Sometimes I feel good in my pajamas.
Whew.
Period. In my bed. And in fact, I feel that's the best. I feel the best in the
best.
bed. Okay. In the pajamas,
Period. No
makeup, no nothing, hair in a bun with it wrapped. I actually feel the best like that. But, when I'm out in public, like, it's LA, I have meeting people all the time. So nowadays I'm trying to just be more consciously aware of like every person that I meet, mainly because I'm asking God for that. I'm asking God to bring in people in my life that will open doors for me or guide me to open doors for me or guide me to the right person that will meet the next person that will open the door for me.
That will put me on their heart, that I am just placed on their heart.
Yes. So they'll think of me. So when they have this thing and they have this next movie or this show, they'll think, oh my gosh, I met that girl, Anjelika. She'd be perfect for that. You know what I mean? Like, but I have to do my part, because if I'm asking God to align me with these people, I have to show up. So these people will think of me in the exact same way that I want to be thought of. Yeah. So when those opportunities arise, I will be ready. You know what I mean? Mm. So I'm a true believer that faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
Till the day I die. Like, I live by it. Like, you can have all the faith in the world, baby, but if you ain't doing your part, you're expecting God to make miracles when you're sitting on the couch doing nothing. Right. And like, you have to show up for yourself.
Oh, that's good. You speaking of, that's the word. Show up for yourself.
Show up for yourself. Mm-hmm. Show up for yourself. And the third is to also, I'm like, everything is about you, but this third one is literally like give back in whatever way, capacity that is for you. I know before I booked Stargirl and I had to move to Atlanta, I was
Wow, you lived here and you didn't even... Just kidding.
I literally was shocked that you said I was like, I was there. And I had no idea that you also lived there. So that is crazy. But yes, I did live in Atlanta for 4 years. only half the year. So I was in Atlanta 6 months, and I would come back to, actually, I didn't ever come back to California because I was booked and busy. God had plans. And so I was actually all over the place. But now I'm in LA, now I'm back. But like for half of the year I was in Atlanta. And what was the point? Oh, the point was, before I booked my show and I had to move to Atlanta, I was the event host at the Children's Hospital here in Los Angeles. And so I hosted events there every Tuesday and every third Thursday of the month. And so it was an incredible time. I met a lot of people. And while it may not have been like industry folk that was like for my career, it was really for like my soul. Like it was like finding something that I could do that wasn't about me, that was like giving back to other people, putting my energy and my time and my love onto other people. And for me, I'm not really like, I think I am passionate about kids. I just tell myself I'm not. But like, I think, because I'm like, I don't like kids. I like kids. I have 10 nieces and nephews now. Girl, I have 10.
That's a lot.
I have 10.
Ooh,
I have 10. It's a lot. And so I love kids, but I there's so many in my family that I'm like, kids, whatever. But I realized that I actually am really passionate about kids. I'm really passionate about the next generation. I think kids are to be protected at all times. They're
absolutely
the next, next up and coming adults, and they're what keeps the world moving. And so I think what it was, I had an acting coach, and that acting coach has a charity called Elizabeth A. McDonald Foundation. And they worked exclusively with the Children's Hospital LA, and they did these events for not only the patients. They did like really cool, fun makeovers, but also events for the siblings and families of the patients.
Oh, wow.
Because a lot of times they feel very isolated, very alone, especially siblings of patients, because all of the attention is on the ill child, as it should be. But just in that process, you can often feel very left out, very forgotten, very left behind, because your parents are putting all this energy into the child who really needs the encouragement. And that can take a toll on a lot of children's. Like if your sibling had cancer when you were 7 and you didn't see your parents because they were in the hospital every day, so they put you off to a family friend or an aunt or an uncle, because they're just trying to get by, which makes complete sense. But the child, can feel like sometimes it's their fault, or they're not good enough, or they're trying to get attention, or you know what I mean? And seeking attention can turn out different ways. A lot of kids act out for attention. You know what I mean? So anyways, we did events for a lot of the siblings of the patients and family members, like the parents, and of course the children as well. But I just loved those events, and I loved talking with people. And it also really put things into perspective for me. I think that is what, whoever is watching, if you do actually start to like implement giving back in your life, it will put everything into perspective. And it made me realize it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. So you went on that audition and you had the best audition of your life and you didn't book it. Okay. You're going to have so many more auditions. Like, it's not the end. You're going to have more. And then the next audition will be the best audition you ever had. Like, to this day, Praise This is one of the best auditions I've ever had. Like, top 5 for sure.
Wow.
And I'm really grateful that I booked it. And so I can actually live to say that, because most of the time, the other 4, I didn't book. I didn't book them. You know what I mean? So like, I think they were my best auditions, but no one ever saw. No one will ever know. No one will ever care. Like, you know what I mean? So it just put it into perspective of like, it's just not that big of a deal. And sometimes when you're in it and when you're hustling and you're grinding and you have this tunnel vision where like all you can see is your dream and everything else is like, blinded. And it finally kind of just like breaks down that tunnel vision where like, it just allows the little lights of other cars to come by to say like, there's other things happening in the world. There's other people that are going through things that are way deeper, way bigger, way more heartbreaking than what you're experiencing. And while our dreams are still valid and they're important, it's just, we are allowed to pivot more, than where some people are at in their life. They don't have those resources or the opportunities to pivot out of their situation. Whereas like I could decide today, I don't want to act anymore. And that would just be the end.
Yeah.
Period. I have the luxury of being able to do that. I'm not going to do that because I love what I do. But like, if I ever wanted to, I could just decide and be like, I'm done with that. You know what I mean? Like, I've made a decent amount of money. I've done enough. I've traveled the world. I've gotten, I've had incredible experience. I've met amazing people. I'm done. I'm not done because there's so much more I want to do. Yes. But if I ever was in that, realizing that is a luxury and that is like a blessing, and like not a lot of people can say that and are allowed to be in the position to say that. And even just to be a healthy human being.
Yeah.
Woo, baby, I've never been more grateful for my health than volunteering at the Children's Hospital and like working there with those families. Every single day I'm like so grateful for my health, because our health really is our greatest wealth. So
it is. Oh, Angie, we have just loved you here at Virtue with Vision, and me personally as your friend. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. This was so good. I'm so serious. I'm about to be like, oh, let's just listen to this. Just listen to it. Because
I'm so excited that you asked me to even come on, because I have also been like watching you on social media over the years, and so proud of how much you've grown, and also the chances you're taking on your life and all the life that you're building. Like, I really do see you building an empire. I really see you like building this incredible kingdom, which is why I'm like, I'm not even worried. Like, your kids are coming. Everything that you want is coming. It's just right now, like you said, you're walking in your purpose. You're doing what you have to do right now to build for where you're going.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So you guys know what we do before we leave Virtue with Vision. We always pray out. So we are going to pray. God, we love you. We thank you so much for the dreamers, the people that have dreams and visions and are taking the actions to go out and make things happen. God, I pray for those that may be struggling in their wilderness season right now. God, I pray that they're able to find the right community. I pray that they're able to find the community that will encourage them, that will lift them up, that will show them and remind them that, hey, there is something in this for you, that they can win, that they can be a part of their expected end that they see in their head. God, I pray right now that you show them that they need to show up for themselves. We know that faith without works is dead. So God, I pray right now that they understand that they have to use their faith and they have to put forth action in order to see the result, in order to see your supernatural hand on their life. God, I also pray that we have the heart to give back. God, I pray that we have the heart to serve your people, the heart to be able to give our time and our hearts to people that need to experience it. God, I also pray for Angie. God, I pray right now that you continue to show her what you have for her, oh God. Continue to roll it out. Continue to show her the dreams that she has, the awards that she wants to win, the big screens that she wants to be on. God, I pray right now that you continue to allow people to use their power, ability, and influence to propel her to the level that she's desiring to be on. God, I thank you so much for her life. I thank you so much that she has a heart that is turned towards you, God. I pray that she continues to be a light wherever she goes. We love you, God, and we give your name all the honor, the glory, and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you for that. That was Absolutely. So beautiful.
Well, guys, that ends our episode for today. You have just listened to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance.
You have just listened to the fastest growing faith-based podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. That's Virtue with Vision, the podcast. Go into this week winning in virtue. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. Virtue with Vision is available on all major platforms. That's right, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Subscribe so you can check out all of my past episodes. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Have an awesome week.